Hello future officers. In today's session we will discuss about some of the most important topics that have appeared in the recent past and which are relevant for the prelims 2024, right? So without wasting any time, let us see what all places were there in news and which are relevant from the upcoming examination. So the first place that we see in news is the Sela tunnel, right? First things first, the location should be very much clear to us. So where is this Sela tunnel located? It is in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, right? And it is world's longest bi-lane tunnel, right? And it is constructed by BRO, that is Border Roads Organization, at an altitude of 13,000 feet. Now these particular data, these are not very significant or important for prelims, just you need to know about the locational aspect, right? So it would be connecting Tejpur in Assam to Tawang in the West Kameng district of Arunachal Pradesh, right? And its significance would be, it would be helpful for the troops, right, for the military personals as well as for the local people, right? And it will be providing all weather connectivity to Tawang across the Sela Pass on Belipera Chariduar Tawang road, right? So it would be a shortened arm for our armed forces, and it would also be augmenting what socio-economic development of the border region. But ye sab, all these details are more useful from मेंस पर्सपेक्टिव. अभी प्रीलिम्स के लिए याद रखिएगा its location. Thereafter another tunnel was in news, and that is Nechifu tunnel. Again, where is this located? So this is there in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, right? And it would be again connecting all weather connectivity to the strategic Tawang region of Arunachal, right? And it is conceived to bypass extreme foggy conditions which prevail around the Nechifu Pass, right? And of course foggy condition hoga, so it would be hindrances for the navigation, right? So please remember this Sela tunnel as well as Nechifu tunnel, both are located in Arunachal Pradesh. Thereafter there was another important piece of news article, that is India's first underwater metro line, right? Why it was in news? Now it is very simple to understand why this was in news, because this is something which is first time which has happened in India. And recently Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated India's first underwater metro in Kolkata in West Bengal, right? So please remember this, it is there in the state of West Bengal, right? Now are such type of questions been asked, India's first underwater metro line, so on and so forth? Yes, they have been questions which have been asked. For example, back in 2016 a question was asked, recently India's first national investment and manufacturing zone was proposed to be set up in which of the following states, right? So please keep this in mind, it would be Kolkata, right? Moving further, Indonesia's volcanoes Mount Merapi erupts, right? Now Indonesia, you should be aware where this is located. Indonesia is a part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, right? Or Mount Merapi, it is situated on Sumatra Island, Indonesia, right? So the locations should be very much clear to us. This is Mount Merapi on Sumatra Island of Indonesia, right? And recently the Pacific Ring of Fire, it is a lot in news, so please pay proper attention to this particular news article, right? And Merapi, it was known for having sudden eruptions that are difficult to detect because the source is shallow and near the peak, right? So just you need to remember the locational aspect for the prelims. Thereafter a wildlife sanctuary was also in news, that is Sepa Hijila Wildlife Sanctuary. Again the state becomes important, right? So the state is Tripura, right? It is located in Tripura. And the Clouded Leopard National Park, it was established in 2007. It is a part of this particular wildlife sanctuary. So please remember कि clouded leopard, here you can see clouded leopard, it is found in the state of Tripura, right? और अगर flora की बात करते हैं, so then we have bamboo, we have grasses, medicinal plants, etc. And if we talk about the fauna, right, then we have primates like rhesus macaque, pig-tailed macaque, capped langur, right, spectacled monkey, slow loris, and the leopard, clouded leopard, jungle fowl, civets, barking deer, wild pig, etc. So you need to remember the state is Tripura. Also you need to remember the clouded leopard are found in this particular part of our country, right? Then there have been 5 new Ramsar sites which have been added, right, on the eve of World Wetlands Day. And when is World Wetlands Day celebrated? It is celebrated on 2nd of February every year, right? So on the eve of World Wetlands Day, India has increased its tally of Ramsar sites from 75 pehle tha, and the number now is 80, right? So first is Magadi Kare Conservation Reserve. It is in the state of Karnataka. So 3 Karnataka में नए Ramsar sites add हुए हैं and 2 have been added to the state of Tamil Nadu. We will be seeing them one by one, right? So first is Magadi Kare Conservation Reserve. It is in the state of Karnataka. Then we have Anka Samundra Bird Conservation Reserve, again in the state of Karnataka, right? Then we also have Aganashini Estuary, again in Karnataka. तो ये तीनों जो हैं ये कहाँ पे हैं? In Karnataka. Then we have Karaivatti Bird Sanctuary. It is in the state of Tamil Nadu. And finally we have Longwood Shola Reserve Forest, again in Tamil Nadu, right? Now a question can also appear, which is that state in India which is having the maximum number of Ramsar sites in India? So please remember, it is Tamil Nadu which is hosting the maximum number of Ramsar sites in India, followed by the state of Uttar Pradesh, right? And about Ramsar Convention on Wetlands, you should be aware when this was signed. This was signed back in 1971 and it came into force into 1975, right? Then if we talk about the water bodies which were in news, so we talk about Lake Retba. Where is Lake Retba and why it was in news? It is also known as Lac Rose or Pink Lake, right? It is also known as Pink Lake and it is located around 35 kilometers from the city of Dakar, Senegal. So ये सब, this you need not remember. ये सब इतना details में नहीं पूछा जाता. Just you need to know about the country, right? So where is Senegal? It is an African nation. So here you can see this is Senegal, right? This is the capital, Dakar, right? Then you have Mali, Mauritania, right? Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, right? So this lake is also known as Pink Lake or Pink Lake. Why the appearance is pink? It is because of the presence of a bacteria which is known as Dunaliella salina bacteria, right? And it is under threat. ये news में क्यों है? Because it is under the threat of extinction, right? Under the threat of extinction because of increase in nitrate level and the pollution, right? And it is separated only by some narrow dunes from the Atlantic Ocean. If you have paid attention to the map, this is Atlantic Ocean, right? And this is Senegal. So it is part of what? Eastern or Western Africa? Western part, right? And because of the high salinity, numerous organisms, they are unable to survive except for some microbes. So salinity is also high. So only some algae or bacteria they are able to survive. तो इसमें पूरे न्यूज आर्टिकल में आपको क्या ध्यान रखना है, लेक रेप्टा की लोकेशन इज सेनेगल, ऑल्सो नोन एज लैक्रोस और पिंक लेक, बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रेजेंस ऑफ डोनालेला सेलिना बैक्टीरिया. और न्यूज में क्यों है, बिकॉज ये थ्रेट, इट इज फेसिंग थ्रेट्स ऑफ एक्सटिंक्शन because of increase in nitrites level and pollution. Thereafter, another river it was in news, that is Suka Paa River. It was in news. Again the location become important. So it is located in the state of Odisha. और news में क्यों है, because Odisha state government after the directions of NGT, that is National Green Tribunal, it is taking efforts and steps in order to revive this particular river, right? And it originates from what? River Mahanadi. Back in 1950s, what happened? This Suka Paa River mouth, it was closed for development of Taladanda Canal system, which is a major canal over that place, right? So because of this, it led to the river dying a painful death, right? And it was further compounded by what? Agricultural encroachments and all. So simply yaad rakhiyega, this river is there in the state of Odisha. Moving further, Amazon basin was also in news, right? So first, let us see where does Amazon river flows. Of course, in the South America. So here you can see Atlantic Ocean. This is Amazon river, right? You can see Brazil, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, and this is the entire what? Amazon river basin, right? Now Amazon river basin, it basically extend from which mountains? So we have Andes mountains, right? Andes mountains in Peru. Where is Peru? This is Peru, right? And the northeastern coast of Brazil, where the river it empties into, obviously where it would be emptying, it would be emptying into what? Atlantic Ocean itself, right? And this includes Bolivia, right? So this is Bolivia. It includes Brazil, of course. Colombia is there, right? Ecuador, Guyana, right? Peru, Suriname and Venezuela. So ये basin countries भी पूछी जाती है, like back in 2023 UPSC has asked 2 questions which were pertaining to Democratic Republic of Congo. One was 3/4 of the world's cobalt is concentrated in which of the following countries? So the answer was Democratic Republic of Congo. और उसी साल 2023 में आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा था that which of the following countries they are what? A part of the Congo River Basin system, right? ऐसा कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछा था. So whenever for example Amazon is in news because of the Belém Declaration, which is against what? Deforestation in Amazon. So Amazon River, Amazon का जो basin है वहाँ पे कौन सी countries these are there? So this can also be asked. So please prepare accordingly. Then Glof was glacial lake outburst floods, right? And यहाँ पे location कौन सी important है? That is the South Lunak Lake. Where is South Lunak Lake? It is situated in Sikkim. North Sikkim के अंदर we have South Lunak Lake, right? So let us try and see about this Glof. And a dam was breached. That was the Chongthong Dam on Teesta River. So Chongthong Hydro Dam, it got breached. और river कौन सी है? That is the Teesta River, right? और Glof के बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए. Let us see that what is Glof in brief, right? So basically what happens, there is a sudden and potentially catastrophic flood. It occurs when water which is stored behind a glacier or moraine is released rapidly. So आपने अब तक पढ़ लिया होगा what is moraine and all, right? उसको एक बार फिर से let us have a quick recap of the same. So these are the mountains, right? This is the present condition. So mountains है, यहाँ पे you have what? you have a glacier, right? And you should be aware what is a moraine. Moraine क्या होता है? Moraine is natural accumulation of your ice, sands, pebbles and debris, right? और उसकी वजह से क्या बन जाता है? A kind of dam is there, right? एक तरीके का बांध बन जाता है, right? So this is the current state of the lake. But what happens during the incidents of Glof? This moraine it gets breached, right? This gets breached. और ये breach क्यों होता है? This breach can occur because of multiple reasons. और उसका एक बहुत बड़ा reason है the climate change. Climate change is what? Accelerating the it is accelerating the melting of what? Ice, glaciers, right? So these floods they happen when glacial lakes formed by melting ice they accumulate the water behind the weak moraines. So water का amount ज़्यादा हुआ, it got breached. So that this is all with regards to Glof. अब Glof जो है वो आपका मेंस के लिए भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, प्रीलिम्स के लिए याद रखिएगा. साउथ लोनाक लेक सिक्किम में है, प्लस चुंगथाम हाइड्रो डैम was there which got breached and it is on Teesta River. This is all for your prelims perspective, right? Thereafter, obviously, there would be catastrophic downstream flooding. Then Lake Titicaca, it was also in news. First, let us see where is this Lake Titicaca. So you can see this is in South America. And why this was in news? This was in news because of drying of the lake, right? You can see the lake is getting dried up because of events of El Nino. Water levels, these are reaching record lows and this is worsened by El Nino. El Nino क्या है? Unusual warming of Eastern Pacific Ocean, right? And the falling water levels, they are affecting fishing, agriculture as well as tourism activity. And if we talk about Lake Titicaca, it is the largest freshwater lake in South America and it is the second largest lake in South America after Lake Maracaibo, right? And very important, it is the highest navigable water body in the entire world, right? So this you should remember, and it is located in Andes Mountains and on the border of Peru to the west and Bolivia to the east. So I hope this is clear. Lake Titicaca कहाँ पे है? South America में है. News में क्यों था? Because of the water levels are going down and this is worsened by El Nino, right? El Nino फटाफट से एक बार रिवाइज कर लेते हैं यहीं पे, so that because many students they are afraid of El Nino. What is El Nino? So you just need to remember that which ocean is in between. This is Pacific Ocean. और प्रीलिम्स में आप कहाँ पे कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं? What does UPSC do? They tweak north, south, east, west. So you just need to remember this is north, south, east and west, right? So we have warming of Eastern Pacific Ocean. This is known as El Nino. क्योंकि trade winds कमजोर पड़ जाएंगी, so upwelling would be prevented, right? The cold Peruvian current, it won't be able to come up and we would be having warmer waters, unusually warmer waters. So this was about Lake Titicaca. Thereafter another river was in news and this river is from India, that is Chite Lui river. It is in the state of Mizoram, right? It is in Aizawl and as you can see from the images, what is the state of this particular river, right? So rampant construction activities, encroachments close to the river, right? And the waste being dumped into the river. So the plastic is also being making most of the solid waste. Now this is in danger. क्योंकि जो river है, it is more or less turning into a dumping ground and recently citizens' efforts, they were lauded even by the Honorable Prime Minister and they are making a difference, but much more is required to save this river. So simply याद रखिएगा, this river is in the state of what Mizoram. Moving further, let us see which all terms were in news which are important from prelims perspective, क्योंकि term based भी कई बार सवाल पूछा जाता है. For example, biorock formation, green washing, Miyawaki technique, R2 code of practices, right? So multiple times UPSC has focused upon the terms which were in news. So first term is Atlantification. What is Atlantification? बहुत simple है इसको समझना. So this is what Atlantic Ocean, this is Arctic Ocean. If I ask you which part of the world is more warmer, obviously Atlantic Ocean, it is having higher temperatures, right? So Atlantification में हम देख रहे हैं कि even Arctic Ocean, it is getting what? More warmer, right? So there is increasing influence of Atlantic water in the Arctic, and warmer and saltier Atlantic water is extending its reach northward into the Arctic Ocean. तो यहाँ पे आपको पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आना चाहिए. That's ocean currents and all, right? So just to give you a very quick recap of the same, what do we have? We have what? Gulf Stream over here, right? और Gulf Stream जाके आगे bifurcate हो जाता है in form of North Atlantic Drift, Norwegian current and all. So इतना हमें पता है that this is more saltier, this is more warmer part, right? But ऐसा ही अब कुछ देखने को मिल रहा है in the Arctic Ocean, and this term is known as Atlantification, right? And because of Atlantification, what is happening? There is warming of Arctic, और warming of Arctic होगा, so of course there would be sea ice would be disappearing. So Arctic Ocean is becoming warmer and saltier as well, and this would be having impact upon multiple geophysical phenomena, multiple climatological phenomena. It would be impacting what? AMOC also, right? And this change, कौन सा change? कि Arctic Ocean, it is getting more and more warmer. ये ज़्यादा prominent कहाँ पे? It is more prominent in the Barents Sea region. So this is Arctic Ocean, right? You can see this is Greenland Sea. This is Norwegian Sea, Norway, Sweden, Finland, right? Russia, the port of Murmansk, which remains ice free throughout the year because of what? Warm Gulf Stream, और warm Gulf Stream से फिर क्या आता है? Warm Norwegian current, right? So Barents Sea में ये जो warming है ये और ज़्यादा देखी जा रही है, right? So what would be the impacts of the same? It is associated with anticyclonic winds over North America and cyclonic conditions over Eurasia, right? And it would be affecting inflow of water from North Atlantic through Fram Strait. So water stratification में भी there would be what? Changes. Stratification मतलब layers. So I hope you are clear with this concept of Atlantification. बहुत सिंपल है Atlantification कि Atlantic Ocean जो है वो ज़्यादा warmer है, ज़्यादा saltier है, और अब ऐसा ही देखा जा रहा है कि जो Arctic है, right? Arctic is also getting more warmer, more saltier, right? And it is more prominent in case of Barents Sea region, right? और उस सब के कारण से क्या होगा? Ice, जो sea ice है, it would be disappearing, it would be melting fast. Thereafter, this term was lot in news, Humboldt's Enigma, right? ये बहुत ज़्यादा news में था. Now, what is Humboldt's Enigma? It is a very simple concept. It is relating to your biodiversity, right? So कहाँ पे biodiversity ज़्यादा है? अगर हम बात करते हैं अर्थ के tropical areas में, right? So अर्थ का जो tropical area है, it receives more direct sun rays, right? So they receive more sunlight, so they should be more biodiverse, right? But mountains, they defy this rule. Humboldt's Enigma क्या कहता है? Humboldt's Enigma का क्या essence है, right? इसको समझने के लिए you should be aware that when we talk about the tropical regions, so tropical regions यहाँ पे they have abundant sunshine, तो जितनी ज्यादा सनलाइट होगा उतना क्या इंक्रीज होगा, बायो प्रोडक्टिविटी, राइट, रेट ऑफ जनरेशन ऑफ बायोमास वुड बी मोर. बट देखा गया है that even in the mountains we have high biodiversity, right? So tropics, they have greater primary productivity which facilitates obviously greater diversity, more ecological niches they became available, and they create more complex ecosystem and greater biological diversity. It is true, but mountains they defy this. माउंटेन्स में भी आपको देखने को मिलेगा कि वहां पे बायोडाइवर्सिटी बहुत ज्यादा है. सो प्रोपोनेंट्स ऑफ Humboldt's enigma, they have held that Earth's tropical areas by themselves, they don't contain all the biodiverse regions. Now this word all is very important, right? कि सारा का सारा जो बायोडाइवर्स रीजन्स है वो ऐसा नहीं है कि आपका ट्रॉपिक्स में ही कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड है या सिचुएटेड है, राइट? And that many areas outside the tropic, this becomes important. Tropics के बाहर भी, right? These are highly biodiverse, and these places are mountains. So no doubt, tropical regions they have high biodiversity, but tropical regions के बाहर भी, tropical regions के outside भी biodiversity बहुत ज़्यादा है, और वो आपको कहाँ पे देखने को मिलती है? In case of mountains. Indeed, we expect diversity to decrease away from the tropics. जैसे जैसे ट्रॉपिक्स से दूर जाएंगे, so obviously जो सनलाइट है, it is more inclined, right? So हमारा एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या है कि बायोडाइवर्सिटी कम होगा. क्यों कम होगा? Because the primary productivity it declines, right? So the mountains they have been an important exception, and this is the essence. ये पूरा सार जो है, this is Humboldt's enigma, right? And now let us see this Humboldt's enigma in case of India. And but before that, you should be aware, Humboldt, basically this is named after Alexander von Humboldt, right? He's a very important figure when it comes to geography. He was basically a polymath, an expert in many fields, right? अगर हम बात करते हैं Humboldt's enigma की in our own country, right? So आप consider कीजिए biodiversity in the tropical areas which are south of Tropic of Cancer, passing through MP and छत्तीसगढ़, ये सब रीजन में, राइट? यहाँ की बायोडाइवर्सिटी को कंपेयर कीजिए with the biodiversity that we have in northeast or with the biodiversity that we have in the Western Ghats. So where would you finding more biodiversity? Tropic regions के पास में तो these are the areas, तो यहाँ पे biodiversity ज़्यादा होना चाहिए. But if you have studied your environment and ecology properly, so आपने जाना होगा कि इंडिया के अंदर there are 4 biodiversity hotspots, and one of them is your northeast, one of them is Western Ghats. So these areas are supposed to be most diverse. Word is supposed. ऐसा होना चाहिए कि ये जो एरिया है ये most biodiverse हो, right? In the country. But Western Ghats plus Sri Lanka biodiversity hotspots, it lies in the same zone, right? However, there is no denial to the fact कि यहाँ पे biodiversity is high, but if we talk about the eastern Himalayas, they are much more diverse, right? These are much more diverse, and some scientists they have even suggested that this part of the mountain range is the second most diverse area when it comes to perching birds in the world, right? And for river birds, eastern Himalayas may be the most diverse areas. So I hope आपको समझ आया होगा Humboldt's enigma किस बारे में बात करता है. बहुत सिंपल है. हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि ट्रॉपिकल रीजन्स है वहां पे बायोडाइवर्सिटी बहुत हाई होगी, बट इसका एक्सेप्शन देखने को मिलता है माउंटेनियस रीजन्स में, राइट? सो दिस वाज अबाउट Humboldt's enigma. Thereafter another term, that is sky glow, right? Sky glow, it was in news. So let us try and find what is sky glow and why it was in news. So as per a study, non-natural light, it has increased sky glow by 9.2% every year between 2011 and 2022. No need to be worried about these particular facts कि 9.2 है 2011 से 2022 तक, right? There is absolutely no requirement of rectifying these, right? You simply need to focus upon the conceptual part. That is, what are the components of light pollution? So light pollution में there are 4 basic components. One is glare. Glare का मतलब there is excessive brightness which causes visual discomfort. Then we have sky glow, जिसके बारे में अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं. Sky glow मतलब brightening of the night sky over inhabited areas, right? Third, what we have is light trespass. Trespass का मतलब आप जानते हैं, without permission if somebody is coming, so light falling where it is not intended or needed. And fourth is the clutter. Clutter मतलब bright, confusing and excessive groupings of light sources. So इसका implication क्या होगा sky glow का? Because light pollution is also a kind of pollution, right? So what would be the impact of sky glows? It would be wasting energy and money. Sky glow के लिए क्या चाहिए? Light should be there, और वो light कैसे जलेंगी? Obviously some sort of energy would be required. Then it would be disrupting the ecosystem and wildlife, and it would be also impacting the human health. Exam से generally पहले कहा जाता है that put your biological clock into order. एक circadian rhythm होता है. Sleep clock cycle is there. That gets disturbed because of sky glow, right? And we have a protected area which has been declared as what? It has been declared free from sky glow. Is it true? Is it false? Please read about Pench protected area, right? So Pench को क्या declare किया गया है? इंडिया का first ऐसा reserve for observation of night lights, right? So please find this out, whether this is true or whether this is false. Moving further, there is a term which is known as plastigomerate. What is plastigomerate? बहुत simple है. Rocks, right? Rocks which are found to be associated with plastics. Associated with plastics कैसे? जो rocks and they are getting melted and plastics is getting inside that, right? And why this was in news? It was in news because plastic rock hybrid, it was discovered in India for the very first time. और कहाँ पे ऐसा पाया गया? It was found on the beach in Andaman and Nicobar Island, which is known by the name of Eves Island, right? So this was there in news, and it is a form of new plastic pollution which was described by scientists back in 2014. So plastigomorate क्या है? Plastigomorate क्या है? It is a rock composed of sand, rock fragments, shells and other materials, but these are held by, right? एक glue की तरह उनको कौन आपस में पकड़े हुए हैं? That is, they are held by plastic, resulting in a plastic rock hybrid, right? So अभी तो आपने पढ़ा होगा कि rock cycle, sedimentary rocks are there, igneous rocks are there, metamorphic rocks are there. But अभी ऐसा देखने को मिल रहा है कि rocks are getting held or glued together by plastic. What does this show? This shows humans increasing interference with the geological aspects of our earth, right? And plastic rocks, they were also found on Trinidad Island. Where is this Trinidad Island? In Brazil, right? So here you can see this is what Brazil, this is the island of Trinidad. So यहाँ पे भी देखा गया है plastic rocks को, right? And why this is a matter of concern? This is a matter of concern because this plastic rocks, they have been found at those places which are ऑलमोस्ट फ्री फ्रॉम ह्यूमन पॉपुलेशन। यहाँ पे सिर्फ कौन बेस है या कौन सिचुएटेड है? द Brazilian Navy is there, which is having a base in this particular area, and it conserves the turtles because the turtles they come here for nesting. So clearly plastic rocks are evidence of humans growing influence over Earth's geological cycles. And it is important conservation spot for green turtles or Clinoria Midas, with thousands arriving each year to lay their eggs. Only human inhabitants are the Brazilian Navy, right? So I hope this is clear. The topic of plastigomorate or plastic rocks. तो Trinidad Island याद रखिएगा in Brazil. Then another term which was in news is tropicalization. What is tropicalization? Now this is very simple concept कि the species from tropics they are moving or migrating, right? But migrate कहाँ पे कर रहे हैं? To the higher latitudes. So rising sea temperatures because of climate change they are causing the tropical marine species to move from equator. So this is equator, tropical regions, higher latitudes. So यहाँ पे अब temperature is changing because of climate change. So जो species हैं they are also migrating. So this is known as tropicalization, right? Towards the poles and retraction from temperate species. So this mass movement of marine life, it has been termed or described as tropicalization. And it is observed in areas with strong currents away from equator. और consequences definitely इसके consequences होंगे. Consequences किस के लिए होंगे? Consequences would be there for the ecosystem, for biodiversity, carbon storage, and potential impacts on the global economy, because global fisheries and the global tourism it would be impacted, right? So I hope this concept is clear to us. अगर ये term आता है tropicalization, I hope now you can mark it correctly in your examination. Then another term is boralization. इसको भी समझना कोई बहुत difficult नहीं है. जैसे tropical areas से marine species they were migrating towards the poles, so that was tropicalization. What is boralization? In boralization there is expansion of temperate species into Arctic polar regions. So tropicalization में from tropical areas to polar areas, और boralization में expansion of temperate species to Arctic polar regions. And why all this is happening? This is happening because of changes or variations in the global temperatures, right? Because of climate change. Then another term which was in news and which still is in news is ecocide. What is ecocide? अगर layman terms में बात की जाए, ecocide is nothing but a form of environmental crime, wherein there is degradation of the ecosystem, there is degradation or damage is inflicted to the biodiversity, that is ecocide, right? तो एक तरीके का ये environmental crime है, right? And if you go by the technical definition of this ecocide, so it means unlawful or wanton acts committed with the knowledge that there is a substantial likelihood of severe and either widespread or long-term damages to the environment being caused by those acts. कि ऐसा पता होने के बावजूद कि if we take a particular action, it is going to have repercussion for a long term. Then also if we commit that act, right, then that is your ecocide. And why this was in news? Because Belgium, where is Belgium? You can see Belgium is a country in Europe. So Belgium को क्या कहा जाता है? Cockpit of Europe, because the largest number of European battles they have taken place in Belgium. and Belgium has become the first country in the European continent to term ecocide or to recognize ecocide as a national as well as international crime. So this is the first country in European continent, right? अगर हम इंडिया की बात करते हैं, so some of our court judgments they have referred to the term ecocide, but जो कॉन्सेप्ट है इकोसाइड का वो फॉर्मली अभी तक इनकॉर्पोरेट नहीं किया गया हमारे इंडियन लॉज के अंदर, राइट? आई होप थिंग्स आर क्लियर टू अस अबाउट इकोसाइड thereafter. And please remember, Belgium, first country in the European continent. Now take a very small assignment and do comment down your answers below. Is Belgium also the first country in the world to declare ecocide as national as well as international crime, or are there countries which have declared ecocide as national and international crime before Belgium? तो इसको प्लीज कमेंट करके बताइएगा जरूर. Then the next topic is Biotrig. Again this is a term कि Biotrig recently seen in news is related to which of the following? So basically this is a new waste management method, right? This is a kind of waste management technology, right? और इस technology में क्या करते हैं? It utilizes pyrolysis at community level in rural area. What is pyrolysis? Is it the absence of oxygen? Is it the burning of organic biomass in the absence or presence of oxygen? Pyrolysis, incineration, these are the basics जो अब तक आपको पता होने चाहिए. अगर नहीं पता then also it's totally fine. Please comment down कि what is pyrolysis? Is it absence of oxygen or is it the presence of oxygen, right? So in Biotrig there is utilization of pyrolysis at community level in rural India, and this is going to benefit rural India both economically, environmentally, right? It would be converting this technology, it converts organic waste into useful products like bio oil, syngas and biochar fertilizers, right? और aim क्या है Biotrig का? It aims to address various rural challenges which include indoor air pollution, soil degradation, lack of reliable electricity, right? तो इस सब का solution जो है वो Biotrig के जरिए खोजा जा रहा है, right? So clean cooking is possible with the help of what? By employing this Biotrig technology, right? So here you can see farmland remediation, biomass is generated. What is biomass? Basic woods, organic matter that is there, right? और बायोमास को फिर डिप्लॉय किया गया, बायोट्रिग टेक्नोलॉजी डिप्लॉय किया गया. बायोट्रिग क्या है? We are utilizing pyrolysis, that is combustion or burning of biomass, right? And you have to tell is it the absence or presence of oxygen. So उसकी मदद से हमें क्या मिल रहा है? बायोचार, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एंड बायो ऑयल, सिनगैस, राइट? सो आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. और बहुत सिंपल क्वेश्चन आता है, डू नॉट वरी अबाउट दिस एंटायर प्रोसेस एंड ऑल. अगर क्वेश्चन आया तो इतना सिंपल आएगा कि द टर्म Biotrig recently seen in news is related to which of the following, right? So answer would be this is a waste management technology. That is all. Thereafter, now in North Carolina this image was widely circulated throughout the world actually. So here you can see an alligator, right? और वो alligator क्या है? It is freezing. So in North Carolina, that is in USA, temperatures drop so low causing alligators to freeze in a pond. तो alligator जो है वो जम गया है, freeze हो गया एक pond के अंदर. और यहाँ से हम एक concept को जान सकते हैं in environment and ecology. Again this is a term which was in news and that is brumation. आपने hibernation सुना होगा, this is brumation, right? Brumation. What is brumation? It is a state of dormancy. Dormancy मतलब inactive state, right? In reptile that resembles hibernation. Hibernation क्या होता है? Hibernation is, you must have heard about bears कि जो bears हैं during winters they go to sleep, वो मेटाबॉलिक रेट जो है उनका कम हो जाता है एंड दे गो टू डीप स्लीप. सो इट इज समवॉट सिमिलर टू हाइबरनेशन. और रेप्टाइल्स जो है दे अंडरगो brumation during late stages of autumn and they can wake up only to drink water and then again go back to sleep. तो याद रखिएगा brumation जो है it is related to reptiles. So it is a sort of dormancy it is a type of dormancy experienced by reptiles, amphibians during the cold months and it involves slowed metabolism, less activity and reduced eating. So be it alligator, be it garter snake or bearded dragon, box turtle, they undergo what? They undergo brumation. Right. Thereafter, another term that is urolite. It was in news. What is urolite all about? So if you are staying updated with the current affairs, it is very easy. So urolite. So recently scientists, they have revealed that Dhala crater, it resulted from collision of exceptionally rare and ancient meteorite known as urolite. So urolite क्या है? It is a meteorite. और उस meteorite impact से क्या बना था? Dhala crater, right? और ये जो Dhala crater है, it is the biggest impact crater in the entire Asia. It is the Asia's largest impact crater. Now your small assignment is, where is this Dhala crater? Right. Which state in India do we find this Dhala crater? Is it in MP? Is it in Chhattisgarh or some other state? So again, this is your assignment. Get involved in the studies. और अगर आप थोड़ा सा effort लगाएंगे, एक बार पता करने की कोशिश करेंगे, trust me, you are not going to forget that for a very very long time. Right. And urolites की अगर हम बात करें, so these are rare class of primitive meteorites. And they constitute just a tiny fraction of meteorites which are there on Earth. And they consist of silicate rocks, mostly olivine and pyroxene, and interspersed with less than 10% of carbon. Now need not get bogged down by these details. कि with less than 10%, क्या सर ये याद रखना है? No requirement at all. Right. Just you need to remember basics कि urolite क्या है? It is a kind of meteorite और it consists of silicate rocks, mostly olivine, pyroxene. ये आप याद रख सकते हैं. And they are interspersed with less than 10% of carbon, that is diamond or graphite, metal sulfide and fine-grained silicates. So silicate rocks हैं, mostly having olivine and pyroxene. Dhala crater, it was found because of the same. और इम्पैक्ट क्रेटर क्या होता है, जिसके बारे में हमने यहाँ पे लिखा है कि इट इज एशियाज लार्जेस्ट इम्पैक्ट क्रेटर. बहुत सिंपल है. इफ अ सेलेस्टियल बॉडी, इफ इट हिट्स अर्थ, राइट, या फिर इफ अ बाउल शेप्ड डिप्रेशन और कैविटी इज फॉर्म्ड ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ सेलेस्टियल बॉडी, it can be a planet, it can be a moon, asteroid or comet, and as a result of the same high velocity impact of meteoroid or other celestial object, a depression is being formed. Right. कोई भी celestial object है and if it is having an impact by a meteoroid, then what we have is impact crater. एक crater form हो जाता है. Now कुछ basics पता होने चाहिए, that is what is the difference between meteorite, meteoroid and meteor. Right. So just by a single image it would be clear. Here you can see space, meteoroid. Meteoroid क्या है? These can be asteroids, fragments of asteroids, right? Which have not landed on Earth, right? And the meteoroids, when they enter the Earth's atmosphere, then they are termed as what? They are termed as meteor. So कई बार आप बोलते हैं टूटता तारा, जब आप विश मांगते हैं, राइट, कि टूटता तारा दिखाए. So most likelihood you have seen what? Meteor. So when this meteoroid it enters the Earth's atmosphere, it is termed as meteor. और जो अर्थ का एटमॉस्फेयर है, right, वहां पे this meteor, because of the high velocity, because of the high friction, it gets burned, right? But if somehow it still manages to survive the heat, the gravity, the friction, और वो अर्थ के ऊपर लैंड अगर करने में कामयाब है, सो वो क्या कहलाएगा? इट वुड बी टर्म्ड एज मीटियोराइट इफ इट कम्स ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ द अर्थ. तो ये बेसिक्स हैं, इनको याद रखिएगा. आई होप थिंग्स आर क्लियर टू अस. मूविंग टू द फ्लोरल स्पीशीज व्हिच वर इन न्यूज. सो फर्स्ट वी हैव Sena septibilis. Now Sena septibilis, it is basically an invasive alien species, right? And why this was in news? So this is what a Sena septibilis looks like. So Kerala Forest Research Institute, it has come up with a plan to eradicate this Sena septibilis. It is a deciduous tree which is native to tropical areas of America. It is an invasive species. और इसका जो thick foliage है, as you can see in this particular image itself, its thick foliage, it arrests, it checks the growth of other indigenous trees and grass species. और उसकी वजह से क्या हो जाता है? फूड शॉर्टेजेस हो जाते हैं वाइल्ड लाइफ के लिए, स्पेशली फॉर द हर्बीवोर्स, राइट? सो दैट इज an issue, or Sena septibilis along with Lantana camara. Lantana camara is again an invasive alien species. So it is among the 5 major invasive weeds that have taken over vast parts of Nilgiris. तो याद रखिएगा Sena septibilis, Nilgiris के साथ में याद रखिएगा, and this is an invasive alien species. This is a challenge for what? Challenge for the local varieties. उसकी वजह से herbivore animals, they are facing issues, right? Then another species which was in news was Conocarpus trees, right? Conocarpus trees क्यों news में था? Again this is an invasive species, और recently Gujarat government has decided to ban the same. इस trees को ban करने का decision आया है from the Gujarat government, and earlier Telangana government has also banned this Conocarpus trees, right? और इसको यूज क्यों किया जाता है? बिकॉज ऑफ द ऑर्नामेंटल लुक, राइट? सो रोड साइड्स पे आपको देखने को मिलेगा कॉनोकार्पस ट्रीज, एंड दिस इज एन इन्वेसिव, अगेन दिस इज इन्वेसिव हार्डी मैनग्रोव स्पीशीज, एंड इट कैन ग्रो इजीली फ्रॉम इंटरटाइडल जोन्स टू डेजर्ट्स टू अर्बन लैंडस्केप्स, राइट? सो बहुत डाइवर्स एरियाज में दिस हैज द कैपेबिलिटी टू ग्रो, राइट? And it is banned by Gujarat government, earlier banned by Telangana government. Widely used in public spaces for ornamental looks, कि देखने में अच्छा लगता है, that is why it is used. It is an evergreen species with dark green, shiny leaves, and flowering of this takes place in winter. और जो particles हैं, right, which are given out from this Conocarpus trees, it can lead to causing cold, cough, even asthma or allergies, right? So problem और भी है apart from this particles which spread from this. ये जो particles हैं इसकी वजह से cough, cold, asthma, allergies तो हो ही सकते हैं. उसके अलावा जो roots हैं इस particular trees का, right? So the roots they can go deep, और deep जा सकते हैं, they can go extensive, they can go wide as well, which can damage telecommunication lines. They can damage drainage lines and the freshwater systems. That is why the Gujarat government has decided to ban the same. I hope ये याद रहेगा आपको. Sena septibilis कहाँ पे था? नीलगिरीज में, and Conocarpus trees banned by Gujarat and Telangana governments. Thereafter, let us see the faunal species in news. That first is Menis mysteria. What is Menis mysteria? Menis mysteria is a type of pangolin, right? So this is what a pangolin looks like. It is the most trafficked mammal in the entire world, right? So pangolins of the world, we have white-bellied pangolin, giant pangolin, black-bellied pangolin, ground pangolin, Chinese pangolin, Philippine pangolin, right? Sunda पेंगोलिन एंड इंडियन पेंगोलिन। अगर हम बात करें हमारे देश भारत में, सो इन इंडिया आउट ऑफ दीज 8 we have 2 pangolins which are naturally found in India, and these are Indian pangolin and Chinese pangolin. इसका IUCN स्टेटस जरूर से याद रखिएगा। The Chinese pangolin, is it critically endangered और Indian pangolin, is it critically endangered? क्या इनका IUCN स्टेटस सेम है या अलग अलग है? So these are different. Please try and find, and do not forget to comment what is the status of Indian pangolin in terms of IUCN red data list, और Chinese pangolin का क्या status है with respect to IUCN red data list, right? So scientists, they have discovered a new variety of pangolin, and this is Menis mysteria, right? And they have, it is believed they have diverged from its Philippine and Malayan relatives approximately 5 million years ago. अब ये सब चीजें नहीं पूछी जाती जनरली इन योर प्रीलिम्स, राइट? And you should also be aware or know some basics about pangolin, that it is most trafficked wild mammal globally. It is a scaly anteater, right? And it is ecosystem engineer. Why ecosystem engineer? क्योंकि soil circulation में it helps in soil circulation. And out of the 8 species, 2 are found in India, which are Indian and Chinese. जो आपको comment में बताना है about their IUCN status. Is this correctly mentioned or is this wrongly mentioned? Right? यहाँ पे mention किया गया है कि इंडियन पेंगोलिन जो है वो endangered है और चाइनीज पेंगोलिन critically endangered है. क्या ये सही दिया है या क्या ये गलत दिया है? Right? And talking about pangolin, pangolin को अगर खतरा महसूस होता है, it can roll itself in a ball, right? And you can see the scales. और इसके ऊपर क्वेश्चन भी पूछा गया था back in 2021. So 3 animals were given: hedgehog, marmot and pangolin. To reduce the chance of being captured by predators, which of the following organisms they roll up? Right? They roll up and protects their vulnerable parts. So this was asked in 2021. Thereafter, red fire ant, it was also in news, and this is again an invasive alien organism. It is native to South America, however it spread in USA, Mexico, Caribbean, China and parts of Australia. Its aggressive behavior, painful stings and large, it is known for aggressive behavior, painful stings and large colony sizes, and it damages crops and local ecosystems. Then very important is Armageddon reed tail. Armageddon reed tail क्या है? So here you can see the image of Armageddon reed tail. A new damsel species, it was found in Western Ghats in Kerala, right? And they have crucial role in pollination. They have crucial role when it comes to nutrient cycling and food source for other animals. Right? And based upon this Armageddon reed tail, एक term आपको देखने को मिलती है, that is ecological Armageddon. What is ecological Armageddon? याद रखिएगा, insects, howsoever small they may be, but they play a very dominant role in our entire ecosystem, right? Be it the Armageddon, be it the butterflies, or be it the busy bees, they are very crucial component in our entire ecosystem, right? और ये जो ecological Armageddon है, it is basically a term which is used to describe devastating decline of insects population around the world. कि devastating decline जो है around the world, उसको किस term से संबोधित किया जाता है? Ecological Armageddon. और इसी के basis पे if you pay proper attention to your PYQs, then a question has been asked. Devastating decline. इस word को याद रखिएगा. And if you pay attention to 2017 question, the question कैसा पूछा है आपसे? Due to some reasons, if there is huge fall in the population of species of butterfly, what would be the likely consequences? So क्या consequences होगा? So devastating consequences are there if insect population declines in large numbers, right? So please remember this ecological Armageddon term, right? Then we have another species which was in news. It is Tenuglonas deepaki, right? Now this is named after its discoverer, that is Mr. Deepak Deshpande. So this is basically a new species of parasitoid wasp, right, which was discovered in Western Ghats. And they need, if we talk about parasitoid, parasitoids क्या हैं? They need to live inside another, and they are called parasitoids. If an organism is living inside another organism, it is known as parasitoid, and we have different types of them. So is this an example of predation, or is this an example of parasite? So this is the new species which have been found or discovered in Western Ghats. आपने पढ़ा होगा ecological interactions के बारे में, predation क्या होता है, right? Mutualism क्या होता है, right? What is symbiotic association? जैसे आप पढ़ते हैं between algae and fungi. You read about algae and fungi, lichens. आप पढ़ते हैं coral reefs, zooxanthellae, coral polyps और algae के बीच में. So we have different types of ecological interaction: commensalism and amensalism. So my question to you is, this parasitoid, इसको आप कहाँ पे place करेंगे? Is it an example of parasitism? Is it an example of predation, or some other type of ecological interaction, right? I hope this is clear. Moving further, some geographical phenomena which were in news. First is PDO, that is Pacific Decadal Oscillation. So there have been studies conducted, and they are showing that cyclone frequency, they may rise over Indian coast from the warming of Pacific, right? So PDO is basically a long-term ocean fluctuation of Pacific Ocean. It was coined in 1996 by Stephen Harvey at University of Washington, and it waxes and wanes approximately every 20 to 30 years. Right. So this is basically a long-term ocean fluctuations, right? Long-term, it is, you can see, approximately 20 to 30 year. और इसमें भी warming phase होता है, and there is a cold phase of this PDO, that is Pacific Decadal Oscillation. So it is a cool and a warm phase. Cool phase में what we see, a cool wedge of lower than normal sea surface heights or temperatures, ocean temperatures in the eastern equatorial Pacific. Never ever get confused by this eastern or western Pacific. बहुत simple है. Just need to know which is Pacific. So this is the Pacific Ocean. This is the western part. This is the eastern part, right? और आपका cool phase में what do we see? We see lower than normal temperatures or sea surface heights, ocean temperatures in the eastern part, right? यहाँ पे we see lower than normal temperatures. That is the cool phase. And warm horseshoe pattern of higher than normal sea surface heights connecting north, west and southern Pacific. और वार्म या पॉजिटिव फेस में जो वेस्ट पैसिफिक है it becomes cool, right? It becomes cool and the wedge in the east warms. Then this can also have an impact upon the path of jet streams. It can alter the jet streams. What can alter the jet streams? Jet streams, they can be altered by the change in location of cold and warm water masses. याद रखिएगा water masses पे UPSC ने even has asked questions in your GS, right? Geography optional can I'm not talking about, but it has asked question in geography GS as well. And jet stream in the northern hemisphere, it delivers what storms across USA. और याद रखिएगा जेट स्ट्रीम से क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है कि जेट स्ट्रीम जो है क्या वो सिर्फ नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर में फ्लो करता है? No, jet streams are both in the northern as well as southern hemisphere. So please remember this. Thereafter, dry spells in western Himalayas, they were also in news. और बहुत सब images circulate हुआ था in the internet that in parts of Kashmir, Gulmarg, वहाँ पे there was late precipitation, late snowfall. In fact, less snowfall was observed, right? So it is some years back, and this is the state of affairs. In fact, not some years back, last year itself 2023 के अंदर it was snow all around. और 2024 में आप देखेंगे snow was missing. So what was the reason for missing snow, or what was the reason for dry spell in western Himalayas? So snowfall in Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir region, it is declining, और उसका reason जो है it is attributable to decline in western disturbances. Western disturbance के अंदर there was decline, right? Gradual rise in the temperatures because of climate change and also El Nino. Now western disturbances जो हैं, these are very important. Why they are important? Because they bring much needed precipitation in the form of, basically there are two branches. जो northern branch है उसकी वजह से precipitation होता है in the form of solid, right? Snowfall is there. और जो southern branch है आपका western disturbance का, उस कारण से precipitation होता है which is very helpful for rabi crops, winter rainfall, right? But हमें देखने को मिला है decline in western disturbances. और जो snowfall है कश्मीर में वो एक सिर्फ टूरिस्ट अट्रैक्शन तक लिमिटेड नहीं है, इसका बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस है अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस टूरिज्म इंडस्ट्री. It is crucial for the local climate. It is very crucial or essential for the winter crops and horticulture. Availability of waters in streams and rivers and for local economy. This is very important. Oftentimes we say कि Himalayan जो rivers हैं they are perennial in nature, right? But अगर western disturbances में decline हुआ, snowfall नहीं होगा, so the availability of water in the streams and river, it would go down, and it would be a big concern, and it is actually a big concern. और climate change के साथ साथ ये और ज़्यादा amplify हो रहा है, right? I hope things are clear. Then heat dome. Why heat dome was in news? Because many parts of the world, they are facing intense heat waves, right? So heat waves and heat domes, they are different. Heat waves ka one of the reason is heat dome, right? Even in parts of Europe, temperatures have reached what 40-45 degree, or even at places 50 degrees Celsius के आसपास things have been, temperatures have reached. So heat domes or anticyclones, they are responsible for occurrence of heat waves in various parts of the world. So हमें समझना पड़ेगा what is heat dome, why is it created. So it is very simple to understand heat dome का जो concept है, आप सबको पता है that because of warming of earth, मान लीजिए this is sun, right? Sun is there, this is ground. sun की वजह से heat up हुआ ground heat up हुआ, so गर्म हवा ऊपर उठी, right? ऊपर उठने के बाद जो गर्म हवा है वो ठंडी हो जाएगी beyond a point, but this is prevented in case of heat dome कि जो गर्म हवा है उसको ऊपर उठने नहीं दिया जा रहा, it is sort of trapped, एक डोम गुंबद शेप में इसको ट्रैप किया जा रहा है, दबाया जा रहा है। सो क्या होगा इस केस में, यहाँ पे हीट की जो कंडीशन है और ज्यादा एग्रेवेट हो जाएगा, राइट। सो दिस इज व्हाट हीट डोम इज। So if you see, it is a type of high pressure system. Heat dome is a type of high pressure system which forms over a large area in atmosphere and causes extremely hot and dry weather conditions, right. So here you can see a mass of warm air, it builds up in still and dry summer conditions, right. So high pressure in the atmosphere pushes the warm air down. हमने बात किया कि जो गर्म हवा है उसको ऊपर नहीं उठने दिया जा रहा, सो कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा मैकेनिज्म है जो उसको पुश करेगा नीचे की तरफ, दैट इज व्हाट, that is high pressure in the atmosphere which is pushing the warm air down and the air is compressed, और जो compressed air है वो और ज्यादा गर्म होती जाएगी, right. And this is how heat domes are generated or created. So the system would be trapping what, hot air and prevent it from flowing to rise and cool, और जो air है वो compress होगी, heat up होगी and dome shaped area would be formed and this can persist for days or altogether for weeks. Plus there is a relationship between heat domes and jet streams. So jet stream, it is believed to have what, a meandering path, a wavy path, and it is a what type of geostrophic wind, right. इस in Rossby waves भी कहा जाता है because of the meandering nature of path it follows. So jet stream is believed to have a wave like pattern that keeps moving from north to south and then north again, and when these waves they get bigger and elongated, ये जो waves हैं when these would become more greater in extent, so ये और ज़्यादा धीरे चलेंगी, right. For example, this is a ground and we have we have jet streams which are flowing. Suppose jet streams they become more intense, they become more elongated, तो वो और धीरे चलेंगे, that means they would be staying over a particular region for longer or greater amounts of time, and then they would be exerting pressure over that place also, right. I hope things are clear to us. So when these waves they get bigger and elongated, they move slowly and sometimes they can even become stationary, right. And this is when high pressure system gets stuck and lead to occurrence of a heat dome. यहाँ पे heat dome generate हो सकता है. और जितना ज़्यादा टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज होगा, right, it is expected that jet streams they would become more and more wavy, right, और ज़्यादा वो wavy बन सकती हैं और ज़्यादा larger deviation, उसका मतलब होगा they would be causing more frequent heat events, right. तो simply याद रखिएगा prelims के लिए that this is a type of high pressure system, right, and it is resulting into heat waves. Heat waves, heat domes, they are different. Please remember this thing. Thereafter, omega blocking, it was also in use. Omega, it is a Greek letter, right? और कुछ ऐसा ही letter आपको यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रहा है, right? Omega blocking. So recent floods which were there in Mediterranean regions, they were caused by low pressure system which formed around omega block centered over Netherlands. और ओमेगा ब्लॉकिंग जो है इसको लिंक किया गया है पाकिस्तान का जो फ्लड्स है उसके साथ में भी, एंड दिस हैज बीन लिंक्ड टू द हीट वेव्स इन फ्रांस एंड हीट वेव्स इन जर्मनी एक्सेट्रा. दिस इज व्हाट अ ओमेगा ब्लॉक्स लुक्स लाइक. बट ओमेगा ब्लॉक होता क्या है, व्हाट इज ओमेगा ब्लॉक ऑल अबाउट? सो सबसे पहले इसका नेम जो है, it resembles a Greek letter omega, that is why it is known as omega block. और ये कब होता है? It occurs when two low pressure systems they become cut off from the main flow of jet stream sandwiching a high pressure system between them. Meaning by, so here you can see this is a jet stream, a meandering path, right? We have low centers of low pressure, we have centers of high pressure, low pressure and high pressure again, so on and so forth. So इसमें आप देखेंगे जो दो low pressure systems है, they have been cut off from the main flow of the jet stream, और उसके बीच में क्या sandwiched है? A high pressure system is between them. Low pressure systems and a high pressure system is sandwiched between them, that is omega block, right? Then atmospheric rivers, they were also in news, not only this particular year or the last year, but for many years altogether. ये atmospheric rivers, they have been in news. Pineapple Express आपने सुना होगा, this was also in news. We will also see what is true Pineapple Express, right? So narrow regions in the atmosphere which transport much of the moisture from tropics to northern latitudes. Tropical areas से northern latitudes तक what we have? Narrow regions in the atmosphere. जिस तरीके से land के ऊपर we have rivers, वैसे ही atmospheric rivers we have. उनका काम क्या है? जो moisture है from your tropics, these atmospheric rivers, they would be carrying the moisture from tropics to higher latitudes, to the northern latitudes, and it is a part of Earth's ocean water cycle, and they are tied both close to water supply and flood risks. Water supply bhi hai, and there are chances of floods also, right? So here you can see this is what? California, right? Warm moist air from tropics is coming in form of atmospheric river. Water vapor cools, और जब water vapor cool होता है, condensation and all, then we have precipitation, right? So heavy rain and snow you can see. और एक well known example आपका atmospheric rivers का is Pineapple Express. ये जो word है Pineapple Express, ऐसा क्यों? Because moisture builds up in tropical Pacific around the Hawaii Islands. और उसकी वजह से there can be heavy rainfall and snowfall over USA and parts of Canada, right? Prevailing winds. So prevailing winds, they cross over warm bands of tropical water vapor from this to form this river which travels across Pacific as a part of global conveyor belt. Again I am repeating the same for the sake of simplicity. हमेशा याद रखिए, in our earth there are various cycles going on, right? There is water cycle, rock cycle, Milankovitch cycle, बहुत सब cycles है. अभी हमारा focus है on water cycle, right? Water का transportation या heat का transportation, right? So obviously tropics में we have more heat, right? So जो tropics से जो moisture है towards the northern latitudes, it is carried in the form of atmospheric rivers. और जब moisture ऊपर की तरफ जाएगा, obviously वो cool down होगा और precipitation होगा, बारिश होगी. और ये बारिश कहाँ पे देखने को मिल रही है? In parts of USA, in parts of Canada. और इसका एक बहुत famous example है Pineapple Express, right? So water supplies या फिर flood का risk is also tied to this phenomena of atmospheric rivers, right? Then atmospheric rivers, it can come in different shapes, different sizes, but those that contain largest amount of water vapor and the strongest winds, obviously जिसमें ज़्यादा water vapor होगा, ज़्यादा strong winds होंगी, so they would be causing more extreme rainfall and subsequent flooding, right? And these events can affect the entire west coast of North America, and they can disrupt your travel, they can damage the properties. But please remember, अगर एक क्वेश्चन आता है, एक स्टेटमेंट आता है, are all the atmospheric rivers disruptive or damaging? Answer would be no. Right? Not all atmospheric rivers are disruptive because it would be dependent upon the availability of moisture या फिर prevailing winds का कितना strength है. Right? So many are weak and they provide beneficial. Many are weak and they provide beneficial rain or high elevation snow, which is crucial input for water supplies of the western communities. तो ये बहुत बेसिक है. ट्रॉपिक से नदर्न लैटिट्यूड्स की तरफ मॉइस्चर कैरी हो रहा है इन आवर एटमॉस्फेयर, राइट, एंड प्रेसिपिटेशन इज कमिंग डाउन. अगर बहुत ज्यादा मॉइस्चर है, बहुत ज्यादा विंड का स्ट्रेंथ है, सो इट कैन बी लीडिंग टू फ्लड्स, right? And all the atmospheric rivers, they are not disruptive. Please remember this. Then if we talk about the true pineapple express, right? So आपने पढ़ा pineapple express के बारे में, but what is true pineapple express? उससे पहले एक बार फिर से रिकॉल कर लेते हैं. Pineapple express is narrow region of atmospheric moisture which builds in tropical Pacific. So the atmospheric rivers, they can come in different shapes, different sizes, but for a true pineapple express, location matters, right? The tail end where moisture is pulled in the atmosphere, it must start near Hawaii, right? और यहाँ पे we have what? Growth of pineapples, तभी इनका नाम भी है pineapple express, right? Then the river, it must stretch continuously through the atmosphere to the west coast of USA. I hope this is clear, right? The concept of atmospheric rivers बहुत simple था कि tropic से northern latitudes की तरफ moisture को transfer किया जा रहा है, right? Then we have auroras, right? Why auroras was in news? Because Henley and Merak observatories in Ladakh, they have captured images of intense red aurora. आपने पढ़ा होगा aurora का formation, northern lights, southern lights, right? Aurora borealis, aurora australis. So याद रखिएगा Henley and Merak observatory in Ladakh region. अब Henley जो है, it is an ideal location, ideal place to observe the phenomena as it is a dark sky reserve. कुछ टाइम पहले हमने पढ़ा था about sky glow. Now we are reading about dark sky reserve. Dark sky reserve मतलब जहाँ पे स्पेशल मेजर्स इंश्योर किए जाते हैं ताकि आर्टिफिशियल जो लाइट पॉल्यूशन है वो कम से कम हो सके, मिनिमाइज हो सके, राइट? सो डू वी हैव एनी प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया, कोई नेशनल पार्क या वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी एज डार्क स्काई रिजर्व? इज द आंसर पेंच और any other protected areas? So please take this also as an assignment, right? And auroras, since you are giving your prelims, so you must be aware that these are patterns of bright lights in sky which are seen when particles ejected by sun, they would be interacting with what? They would be interacting with magnetic field around the earth, right? And usually they are observed near the poles. Then there were certain reports which were in news. First is the World Energy Outlook. A World Energy Outlook, it was released by International Energy Agency. और International Energy Agency ने ही कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिशंस रिपोर्ट जारी किया था, right? So please remember, International Energy Agency has released World Energy Outlook as well as कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिशंस रिपोर्ट. और इंटरनेशनल एनर्जी एजेंसी ने जारी किया है ग्लोबल मीथेन ट्रैकर 2024, जहां पे ये पाया गया है that the emission of methanes, it is increasing, right? And methane की वजह से we are witnessing or we have witnessed 30% rise in the global temperatures since the pre-industrial times. Thereafter, if we talk about UNEP, so UNEP has also released a large number of reports like the adaptation gap report. So adaptation gap report किसने जारी किया है? UNEP ने, right? And sorry, UNEP has also released emissions gap report. So be it adaptation gap report or emission gap report, both are released by UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program. And UNEP ने ही रिलीज किया है ग्लोबल कूलिंग वॉच 2023, कीपिंग इट चिल, released by UNEP. And UNEP ने ही रिलीज किया है बेंड द ट्रेंड, pathways to a livable planet as resource use spikes. So global resource outlook or global cooling watch, both are released by UNEP. So आपने देखा UNEP has released number of reports, and UNEP has also released a report pertaining to plastics, which is turning off the tap, how the world can end plastic pollution and create a circular economy. This is released by UNEP, right? Then there are reports released by FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, and these reports are urban forestry and urban greening in drylands, improving the resilience, health and well-being of urban communities. So याद रखिएगा, urban forestry and urban greening in drylands by FAO. And FAO has also released a publication by the name Sand and Dust Storms, a guide to mitigation adaptation policy and risk management measures in agriculture. Both are released by FAO, Food and Agriculture Organizations, with headquarters in Italy, Rome, right? Thereafter, WMO, World Meteorological Organization, has come up with a report 2023 State of Climate Services, right? Then very important, CMS Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals. So from that we have State of World's Migratory Species report, right? So please remember this report as well as released by CMS. And where was recently the CMS held? Was it in Uzbekistan? Jahan pe the logo was winged snow leopard, because the snow leopard, it is considered a keystone species, right? And then some environmental legislations, like if I ask which is the first state to declare human wildlife conflict as state specific disaster, so that was the state of Kerala, right? Kyunki Kerala mein bhi dekha gaya in the recent times human wildlife conflict, or in particular human elephant conflict is on a rise, right? So Kerala देश का पहला राज्य बन गया है जिसने ह्यूमन वाइल्ड लाइफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को एक स्टेट स्पेसिफिक डिजास्टर घोषित किया है, और 2015 में उड़ीसा ने स्नेक बाइट को डिक्लेयर किया था एज अ स्टेट स्पेसिफिक डिजास्टर, एंड केरला इन 2020 डिक्लेयर्ड COVID-19 as state specific disaster, right? I hope this is clear. Thereafter, tiger safari, it was also in news. तो tiger safari क्या है, आइए इसको थोड़ा सा जानते हैं prelims के perspective से. टाइगर सफारी को डिफाइन नहीं किया गया, आई एम यूजिंग द वर्ड नॉट, इसको नहीं डिफाइन किया गया एज अ पार्ट ऑफ वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट 1972, राइट, विच सेज नो कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ कमर्शियल टूरिस्ट लॉजेस, होटल्स, जूस, सफारी पार्क्स shall be undertaken inside a sanctuary except with prior approval of National Board for Wildlife under the Act. So यहाँ पे तो नहीं बताया कि टाइगर सफारी का सही में मतलब क्या है. लेट अस ट्राई एंड एक्सप्लोर और फाइंड कि टाइगर सफारी जो है इसका कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, राइट. सो इन 2000 सो अभी कुछ ईयर्स हमें देखने को मिलेंगे, 2012, 2016, 2019. तो 2012 में ये जो टाइगर सफारी है इसको एनविसाज किया गया था इन गाइडलाइंस फॉर टूरिज्म which were issued by NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority, in 2012, which provided for such establishment in buffer areas of tiger reserves which experience immense tourist influx in core critical tiger habitat for viewing tigers. देखिए कोई भी जाएगा to the protected area, so one of the most magnificent species which people go to see is tiger. उसकी वजह से जो टूरिस्ट इन्फ्लक्स है वो बढ़ेगा. सो टूरिस्ट इन्फ्लक्स को कम करने के लिए देयर वर सर्टेन गाइडलाइंस इशूड बाय एनटीसीए इन 2012 और 2016 में एनटीसीए ने गाइडलाइंस जारी की टू एस्टैब्लिश टाइगर सफारीज इन बफर एंड फ्रिंज एरियाज ऑफ टाइगर रिजर्व. लेकिन ध्यान देने वाली बात है यहाँ पे कौन से टाइगर्स इंक्लूड होंगे? जो इंजर्ड हैं, जो कॉन्फ्लिक्टेड हैं, या जो ऑर्फन टाइगर्स हैं, राइट. और यहाँ पे स्पेसिफिकली इट हैज बीन मेंशन अंडरलाइनिंग दैट नो टाइगर शैल बी ऑब्टेन्ड फ्रॉम अ जू. बट आप आगे देखेंगे 2019 में दिस हैज बीन चेंज्ड आल्सो, राइट. So those tigers who were injured or who are injured, conflicted or orphaned, they are taken to be a part of tiger safaris, right. और tiger safari जो है it can be proposed only by a tiger reserve जिसने 100% यूटिलाइज कर लिया है of their tourist carrying capacity. ऐसा नहीं है कि हर कोई जो tiger reserve है it would demand for tiger safari, right. Only those tiger reserve which have utilized 100% of their tourism carrying capacity, they can propose a tiger safari, right. And as per section 9 of 2016 NTCA guidelines, only injured tigers, that too after suitable treatment, right, or the conflict tiger or orphan tiger cubs unfit for rewilding and release into the wild, they ought to be put in the safari. ऐसा नहीं है किसी भी टाइगर को आप टाइगर सफारी में डिस्प्ले के लिए you would put it, right. Then in 2019 NTC आपने देखा था 2016 में no tiger shall be obtained from a zoo 2016, but 2019 आते आते ये स्टैंड जो है वो चेंज हो गया. NTCA allowed animals to be brought from zoos for tiger safari parks and gave Central Zoo Authority the power to select such animals. कि कौन से एनिमल्स आएंगे कौन से नहीं आएंगे उसका पावर किसको दिया गया? Central Zoo Authority, right. At Central Zoo Authority it is established under the provisions of Wildlife Protection Act, right. So a separate chapter 4A contains section 38A to 38J. It was added to Wildlife Protection Act 1972 for establishment of Central Zoo Authority और accordingly Central Zoo Authority establish किया गया था as a statutory body under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change back in year 1992. और NTCA कब establish हुआ था? Was it year 2005 or 2006? Please do not forget to comment your answers, right. And there are many concerns also. Some say that this is a good idea, some say this is not so good idea. But वो सब discussion है mains के लिए. Prelims के लिए याद रखिएगा the specifics, right. That NTCA as a body is constituted under which of the following acts? Central Zoo Authority किसके तहत constitute किया गया है? या फिर tiger safari का concept कहाँ पे इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था? So it was introduced back in 2012 as per the guidelines issued by NTCA, right. Then conservation initiatives which were in news, some of which we will be discussing in today's session are Yayaso. So Yayaso क्या है if it comes? So this is Ladakh's first biodiversity heritage site. So याद रखिएगा यायासो लद्दाख का पहला बायोडाइवर्सिटी हेरिटेज साइट. अभी हम देखेंगे बायोडाइवर्सिटी हेरिटेज साइट क्या है, राइट. बट बिफोर दैट दिस रीजन ऑफ लद्दाख it is known for nesting habitat for number of birds such as the bar-headed geese, such as black-necked crane. और black-necked crane का बहुत महत्व है in Buddhism, right. And the Brahmini duck. And this Yayaso, which is in Ladakh, is one of the highest breeding sites for black-headed crane in our country. और बायोडाइवर्सिटी हेरिटेज साइट्स क्या होते हैं? दीज आर यूनिक इकोलॉजिकली फ्रेजाइल इकोसिस्टम्स व्हिच हैव रिच बायोडाइवर्सिटी। और प्रीलिम्स में क्या पूछा जा सकता है? दैट हु हैज द पावर और अथॉरिटी to declare any area as biodiversity heritage site? So it is the state government, right, in consultation with the local communities. और कौन सा एक्ट, किस एक्ट के तहत, ये सब इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है प्रीलिम्स के पर्सपेक्टिव से। तो आपने फैक्ट तो जान लिया कि यायासो जो है वो लद्दाख का पहला बायोडाइवर्सिटी हेरिटेज साइट्स है। ओके फाइन, वेरी गुड, बट अंडर विच एक्ट? सो अंडर बायोलॉजिकल डाइवर्सिटी एक्ट ऑफ 2002 स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स they are empowered to notify biodiversity heritage site in consultation with the local bodies areas of biodiversity importance as biodiversity heritage site. So just to give you a recap, under Biological Diversity Act 2002 state governments are empowered after the consultation with the local bodies. I hope things are clear up till now. Moving further, then Barda Wildlife Sanctuary was also in news. First, location आपको पता होना चाहिए, it is located in the state of Gujarat, right? Why it was in news? Because it is being considered for introduction of Asiatic lions, right? And it lies 15 kilometer from the coast of Porbandar. So ये कभी नहीं पूछा जाएगा 15 किलोमीटर है या 50 किलोमीटर है या 40 किलोमीटर है, right? So do not get bogged down by these kinds of informations. I've also tried to include such information and also tell you कि ये इतना important नहीं होता। जैसे हमने देखा था लेक रेतबा के केस में, जो डाकर सेनेगल में पाया गया है, जिसको पिंक लेक भी कहा गया है, जो एक्सटिंक्शन का खतरा जिसपे मंडरा रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ इंक्रीज नाइट्राइट पोल्यूशन एंड ऑल। सो वहां पे भी 35 किलोमीटर्स फ्रॉम सच एंड सच सिटीज। ये सब नहीं पूछा जाता। जस्ट यू सिंपली नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई अ पर्टिकुलर एरिया इज इन न्यूज, व्हाट इज द लोकेशन, राइट? देन Maldaris, Barwards, Rebaris, Gadwis, they live in this region of Saurashtra, right? So the tribal communities, इनके बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए। Maldaris आप कहाँ पे पढ़ते हैं? Where do you read Maldaris? Bunny grasslands, right? And abundant floral diversity is there because if you have to introduce what? Line, so line के लिए prey भी होना चाहिए, prey base भी होना चाहिए। So Gored, Dhaw, Ryan, Amli, Dhandlo, etc. So it provides a rich floral diversity as well as it is suitable for wild ungulates, right? Two hoofed animals like सांबर, चीतल, चिंकारा, etc. तो एक बहुत अच्छा बेस मिलता है for lines because lion is a big carnivore. So this is it for today's session. I hope you found it useful. Keep studying, and more than studying at this point in juncture is keep practicing, right? और practice करके try and analyze your strength and weaknesses. If you are getting what, let us say if you are getting 70 marks out of 200, so do not get bogged down by the fact कि 70 ही नंबर आए हैं. Instead you can think, आप mindset में थोड़ा सा change लेके आ सकते हैं कि ठीक है 70 नंबर तो आते थे बट अभी 130 नंबर और जुड़ गए हैं और इसको 10 बार रिपीट करेंगे तो 1300 मार्क्स की नई इंफॉर्मेशन आपको जानने को मिलेगी, राइट? सो प्लीज स्टे फोकस्ड, stay disciplined, and wishing you all the very best. Have a good time. Thank you.